Aman
Aha, bicepsim koptu.
abi,
Vallahi koptu.
iyi misin?
Yeah, okay. Forget about the language, but let's focus what just happened.
Aman
Oof.
Aha, bicepsim koptu.
abi,
Vallahi koptu.
iyi misin?
Okay, let's get. Look closely at his left hand. Just look closely. Oof. Do that one more time. Yes. Well, basically, welcome everyone. So today we're gonna be talking about bicep tear and why it's happening more frequently. And you might think, okay, it's something that happened. It's a type of injury that takes place for people or adults 40 or over. But if that was the case, how come Larry Wheels in his 20s, mid-20s, he got it? And a lot of people are actually getting it. It's not, I mean, a lot of the time, some conditions, some issues can be caused, let's say, with ages, but we're going to actually identify some of the circumstances that actually does that. Basically, what is a bicep tear? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about also gym exercises that increase the risk of bicep tear and safer approaches that you could use when you are training. And basically, another thing, key risk factors, more important than just exercises, basically risk factors of what could basically cause somebody to get bicep tears, and more importantly, exercises. This is basically that you can train, because the goal is longevity. The goal is not that you can train right now and look good right now and then you injure yourself, and then, you know, not because you're gonna have to go through the pain, the momentarily pain, and at the same time you probably have to get surgery. It's gonna be complicated. Why make life complicated while you can be more prepared and advanced for whatever that could happen? And this is the reason why I'm doing this stream as well, because we're gonna actually talk about different times this happen, and basically also crucial prevention strategies that we're gonna also talk about. It's not about training, heavy or just lifting, but it's also about training intelligently. So this is one of the key things that you gotta actually talk about, and we need to look on. And lastly, we're gonna talk about food, supplements, and lifestyles that prevents bicep tears. So I think we can start with the onset. I already shown you guys how that looks like. A bicep tear or bicep tendon tear occur when the tendon connecting of the bicep muscle to the bone rupture. We're gonna look at it basically how it happened. We're gonna look at it in a 3D fashion, so we could basically see how it is. And this type of injury happened in two places. So it either happened, and I'm gonna use some basic technical terms, but I'm gonna always keep it simple as possible, because I believe it's not about making things complicated for people, but it's more about making it as easy as possible that everybody can understand, because it's better that everybody knows this. So proximal bicep tendon tear, so that's basically when it's tear at the shoulder area. So I'm more closer to the shoulder area, that's when it's tear. We're gonna take a look basically how that looks like in a visual aspect. So this is the most common type of bicep tear. And the distal bicep tendon tear, which is near the elbow area, I think we've seen it already, but we're gonna actually, let me take a look of showing you guys how that looks like. This was one of them. See, closer to the elbow, you see how his bicep you can see how there's a curvature in his bicep now. And this is basically the distal bicep tendon tear. So it's actually happened at the elbow area. It's less common, but more severe. It's less common, but more severe. Because one of the things is, when it comes to bicep tear, it could means that it just happened all of a sudden, but it doesn't happen always all of a sudden. It's not something that just happened like that. There are key signs to really look out for, and basically so you can address it earlier, and so you can do different things to actually prevent it. Because again, when you're trying to stay fit or get healthy, but we're not trying to basically hurt ourselves, this is really stupid to be doing that. because a lot of the time some guys might say, okay, well, you need to go hard and all of that. We're gonna explore all of these different avenues or different common ideas or common thoughts that people normally say to just to, just basically to push you, and at the end of the day you can get injured and you're gonna be the one suffering and also paying the bill. So I mean, we want to stay active, but we also want to stay smart. We want to do it in an intelligent way. So another thing I want to mention is that 90% of the torn bicep that happen near the shoulder rather than near elbow area. So basically what I'm saying is that more bicep tear happen more in the shoulder, near the shoulder area, than rather the basically by the elbow area. So over 90% of the time, this is where it takes place. So we're gonna take a look now at the common causes of bicep tear. But first, I have this also I wanted to show. Okay, so this is Larry Wheels. I normally do streams on him. I think even yesterday I did a stream about him because really respectable guy, and I appreciate all his hustle, all his hard work, but massive and a big name in the fitness industry. And the fact of the matter is he also had his bicep tear. So
I had to lift significantly.
you see how that looks like? So this is basically the it's the normal one, the 90% of the time. So which is the 90% of the time, this is a torn bicep that happened near the shoulder area. This is the main type of bicep tear that actually takes place. And why is this important? This is the reason. Why is this important? Because let's put it like this. If you are, I think this is the main thing we have to actually understand. Why is it important? Okay, I had to use that. Okay, just test it out. Okay, why is this important? Let's say, for example, you're a bodybuilder. You do fitness. You go to the gym, you're training for whatever reason that you're doing it. Or you play football, American football, that is, because a lot of it has to do with throwing. Because when you throw, your bicep basically elongated or just basically snap. So a lot of the time that snap can also be gone too far, and then basically just snap like a, how you call it, it's muscle. There's certain form, there's a good amount of elasticity in your muscle. So a lot of the time, just like if you take a rubber band and you pull it, a lot of the time you can pull it too far and then it snaps. So try to picture it like this. And if you're a skier, if you go to ski, this is important for you. If you're a gymnast, that's also important for you. If you play tennis, if you row, if you're a boxer, if you're a wrestler, or any throwing sport such as javelin. So javelin is the type of sport where you have the stick and basically you have to run, and then throw it to see who threw it the furthest. But basically it's almost encompassed. It basically have to do with a lot of different sports. I could imagine I was gonna say basketball, but I don't really think that much it happens in basketball. More Achilles injuries or ankle injuries rather than as you can imagine, bicep tears. But again, it has to do with a lot of the time when you have to make quick movement and your bicep basically can tear. But the majority of the time it tends to tear in the upper section of your arm. So we're gonna now go to basically the common causes of bicep tear. First thing first, I think I was about to show this. I was talking about Larry Wheels, and he was in, I'm not sure what age was he at precisely when he tear his bicep, but one thing I do know for sure is that he was in his 20s. I would say mid-20s, probably late 20s. And now we're gonna hear his story.
Let's wait down with your torn bicep. Or?
Only when I'm fully supinated, and it's like.
So basically, he's talking about his, Larry Wheels is talking about, what is life after a bicep tear, because I've seen during my research to actually compile this topic, and I was like, okay, I'm searching for it. And then I found a lot of the time some people say, they say they try after the recovery, they gain more power So basically they become more than 100%, let's say 112%, 120% or more stronger, and the arm that was tear, basically, and the bicep that was tear, which is a complete, I was like serious. But one thing is for sure, they all have in common is that they were promoting a product. They were promoting a product saying that if you take this product, they didn't say it like this, but I'm just putting it out there, just, without the bullshit. So they just said like this: they've been using this product and they've been trying it after their bicep tear, and this is what happened. And they give you such extravagant results, like as if your any body part is not gonna be 100%. That's for sure. I mean, it can be 100%, but you can imagine after a tear, it's the muscle become imperfect, meaning it just become imperfect. It's not the way that it was actually eventually designed, and especially if you need to have surgery for it. And these are the rare cases. I mean, not so. If you're lucky, you probably don't need surgeries. But a lot of the time you need surgery. That's if it's snapped in half. If you break a rubber band in half, you probably, if you want to take it back, you probably, get both ends together or all the ends together. You probably have to use glue or, basically, or some form to actually get it back. So this is, Larry Will's basic, how you call it, his story, and saying how it is. And I believe he's gonna be honest about it, because again, a lot of people actually, counting on him to be as truthful, as honest as he can.
Like 5% less.
Is that on purpose, or is that
All
just
right,
like the excess weight now with your torn bicep? Or
Only when I'm fully supinated, and it's like 5% less.
is that on purpose, or is that just like the actual physical difference?
That's the actual difference.
I think I found this online or something. I think there was like some blog or something that said that you had a tear between your. It was the bicep and the tendon, not tendon and the bone.
It was actually, the muscles and the tendon.
Oh, that's crazy. Wait, so but you don't actually have to lift less with that?
So I don't have to, but it'll never be more than 95%.
Do you have to lift significantly less weight?
I mean, he's honest. I mean, you can see how his bicep is just doesn't look normal anymore.
Now with your,
and for people to say,
do you have to lift?
For people to say that his bicep, will ever be the same, even as you can see the imperfection in there, to think that it's gonna be stronger than all, because a lot of the time they say, like I was saying, and in my research, a lot of people, different channels, they were saying like, okay, they took this supplements and then they got stronger, more than 100% stronger than they were in the very beginning, before they actually, snapped their bicep. Yeah, this is basically, yeah. Anyway, so moving on, I want to talk about the common cause of bicep tear, so you can actually know exactly what are the common causes. Degeneration. So let's say, for example, tendon. Larry were also talking about tendon. Tendon weaken over time due to the wear and tear. Chronic inflammation can also weaken the tendon. That's because picture this. A lot of the time, every body part, just like you get tired, mentally or physically, or just get tired so you could go to sleep. Just like that, our tendons basically get overwork, or get basically wear and tear, overwork, and then they just, degenerate. So this is one of the things. So meaning that they become less more useful rather, but less stronger, rare, and then the tear. Okay, another reason is that sudden overload of heavy lifting extremely heavy weight, like deadlift, bench press. When I was hearing this, I was like thinking like last week how my deadlift was actually quite heavy. But the fact of the matter is, we're gonna talk about it's not about lifting less heavy weights, but it's about the strategies that you use while lifting heavier weights. Because in order to not get any form of this type of injury, because again, that means you get this injury, you're gonna have to sit it out weeks, can't train, and probably definitely you can imagine your arm is gonna get weaker, and you probably have to spend just time, the money, but the emotional stress, all of that if you can prevent it, I would suggest that you do all the things that are possible to prevent it. And then another thing is the forceful movement, like throwing, swinging. This is common for athletes because, let's say, I already said forceful movement. If you have to throw a stick, like I was saying, what was the javelin, when you have to throw a stick and throw it the furthest, or spear, kind of. I can imagine back in the days, when they used to use spear a lot. They used to have, I can imagine throwing a spear, because it's basically a type of swing or a type of throw you have to basically do forcefully to throw it. Let's say, they suffer from Achilles, not Achilles, but bicep tear. It could be possible, but I guess we will never know, because would they actually document these things, I mean, but the reason I brought it up is because it is possible to throw if you throw in a spear, because you can imagine any spear throw and you have to throw it with force, and when you throw it with force and your bicep has to snap, and if you'll do this simple movement of throwing, you can feel how basically your bicep is actually kind of moving, or you can feel that your bicep was activated or engaged. So another thing is, the third reason is trauma or acute injury. So if you have a trauma in the area, or if you had an injury, let's say feeling on a outstretched arm, feeling on a outstretched arm. Why did I write that? But anyway, I think I'm gonna think about it. Direct impact to the shoulder or elbow. So if you have trauma in the elbow or the shoulders, then you can imagine these areas are not gonna be as strong as they are, or injuries or trauma there. You can imagine. So if they are not strong as they should, so other muscle group gonna have to take over to do the actual work. So the let's say the pressure or the strength that you should use to get your shoulder engaged or your full arm engaged in a workout, and later we're gonna uncover or talk about the type of workouts at the gym that are more likely or highly likely to cause people or cause you to have a bicep tear. So again, if you have trauma or acute injuries in these key areas, shoulders and elbows, then a lot of the time the bicep has to take over. The bicep have to take over and overwork. So this is the reason why it can, what can happen, why your bicep can tear. And the fourth reason is repetitive overuse. So common in sport like weightlifting, basketball also, tennis, and manual labor jobs. Because I was thinking, like, I did put basketball, but in basketball, the majority of the time you wouldn't be throwing the ball from your rim and way down. That's like, I was thinking about that because I normally sometimes perform these throws, and just recently, and I was watching some basketball highlights, and I saw a throw like that, when they have to throw from basket to basket, or from one court side of the court to the end side of the court, like a quick play. That could happen, but it's not an overused or repetitive type of movement to say. Mostly basketball, you pass the ball like that, or bounce pass, or like you're not throwing it like you will throw a spear. That's the difference here. Or manual labor job. Manual labor jobs, definitely, if you lift in heavy loads, as you can imagine, that could cause your bicep to tear, because it's all the time when you have to lift loads that are in front of you and could tear your bicep. Just like as we were seeing earlier when the guy was lifting the doing some deadlifts, and bicep was tearing. Like, manual labor job, you probably don't have to do it like this, but there are some jobs, if you are using, let's say if you're working outside, like for construction or road building or infrastructure building, a lot of the time if you use different type of tools, you can be using, let's say for example, a hammer, a jackhammer. And I've met somebody who had I think it was a tricep tear, but that was because he he was working and yeah, basically road building, and you can imagine there are hammers that basically tremble or vibrate to basically to get every sediment or a flat surface flatter. So that can happen, but today we're focusing on biceps. And also, if you are using steroids, because long-term use of steroids can weaken tendons. This is one also the reason why I strongly promote people not to use steroids unless you have specific cases, because there are cases that people could use steroids because, let's say, if you have a growth defect. Because I remember this kid who used to be how you call it, an intern of mine, and he was 18, 19, I believe. But one of the things that was wrong with him is that he was not growing as normal as he should grow. It's not that he was a midget, but his body was so small and his head was not big. Not this type of people who have big heads, but I'm talking about that his growth was not normal. So he had to take steroids. The doctors put him on a steroid regimen. Basically, he have to take steroids. A type of steroids that would help him to basically grow. That's a different type, But if you're using steroids on a long-term basis, then it weakens your tendons. And poor nutrition reduce blood flow to tendons to make them more prone to tear. If you're gonna be doing any type of sports, or if you're an athlete, or if you are weight training, you definitely wanna eat proper nutrition, because you're not doing it. I mean, you better shape up, because if you can go as far as starting to basically go as far to do your training, then why not? Why not go further and actually balance it out by having your meals as well, by eating healthy food, because helpful food, and I'm gonna talk about them just later, just in a moment. I'm gonna talk about the type of food that you could eat that can help your body to prevent you from actually getting tendon tear, or not tendon tear, but bicep tears. So also tendon tear, as you can imagine, because tendon is still different, but the bicep and the tendon are like, when you strengthen the tendon, that's gonna also strengthen what your body basically the key areas that are most likely to be weaker than normal. So I think now is a good time. Let's see. I think, another thing too. Andrew Tate, he actually got his bicep tear, and I think he was saying it was during the lockdown. I don't know. I'm not sure when exactly.
Going on with Andrew Tate's bicep. When Andrew Tate appeared on Bradley Martin's YouTube channel, fans quickly noticed something unusual, as his left bicep didn't look quite right. This got many people wondering what had happened. During his kickboxing days, Tate tore his bicep because he was training so hard. Just imagine how much stronger he could have been if that injury.
Actually, this is not what happened. Like, from my research, he says that the reason why Andrew Tate got his bicep torn, I think it was during these moments, that's when he actually tore it. Because again, like I said, boxers are also highly likely to get their bicep tear, because you can imagine he's going forcefully back, and basically when he snapped his arm forward, his bicep also elongated. Basically, his bicep also snapped, because remember, now he's using his I'm not sure he's gonna jab. It's not maybe an uppercut, but he's gonna use his arm as an elastic. But again, the elastic has the load and the unload. So basically, when you do that, when you unload it, then that's when the bicep basically just, like I was saying, it just snap like that. So this is the way I would imagine that he actually got his bicep tear. And again, again, a lot of the time when the bicep tear, you're gonna have to go to the hospital, but sometimes you don't need to, but you're gonna have to have some form of physical therapy to get your mobility, to get everything working as it should again. So now, okay, gym exercises that increase the risk of bicep tear and safety approaches, because it's not about the I do understand a lot of the time these exercises are common exercises that people tend to do, and I'm not trying to tell you not to do them anymore, but I'm telling you, hey, here's here's some things that you could use, here's what you could do, here are safer approaches, more smarter approaches to basically help you to stay on the good side and to be able to enjoy doing this type of exercise for as long as you can without injuries. This is the goal here. This is my goals, because serious injuries often linked to specific exercises performed with poor performance, excessive weight, uncontrolled movement, and we're gonna talk about the high risk potential along with why they are risky and how to train safely. So basically, we're gonna take a look at the high risk exercises and why they're risky and how to perform them safely. So now let's get through this. First exercise. You know it? Let me know in the comment section. But the first exercise is barbell bicep curl. But this one is heavy barbell bicep curls, and especially cheat curls, because sometimes you have to cheat, meaning with the curls, because you might be reach your moment of with biceps, or basically the bicep curl, you might reach a moment that you are extremely tired, or you can't go no more, or your bicep cannot lift anymore, and you have to cheat, or basically losing proper form. Let me put it like this: you're just not, your form is not the way it should be. Especially when you're going down with a force negative, because as you can imagine, when you're doing the curls, that's the curling, but also there's the negative. That's when actually your bicep is more prone to snap. So why is that? Using momentum to swing the weight up overload the tendon at the bottom area. So when you are training and then you feel that the tendon at the bottom here, I mean, you can feel the tendon. Let me see if I can. There's a way you can feel it if you put your hands like really inside. Like you can really, or if you can feel the tendon. But when you're going down, and that tendon here that connect to the bicep, basically it just get overloaded at the bottom area when you when you extend your arm. Because the reason why is because the force negatives, a very slow, heavy lowering creates massive tension on the tendon during elongation. This is it. Because as you can imagine, the bicep, like I said, is like the bicep and the tendon is like a rubber band. It can elongate, so basically get longer. So when that get longer, and it keeps getting longer to a moment with the elongation, and also the pressure that you have on the pressure with the weight on your arm, that's what can cause it to snap. But now, what is the safe approach? Which is a safer approach? Basically, a safer approach when doing heavy bicep curls, it can either be with the barbell, basically, or the dumbbells. Again, not the same, but same exercise, but different tools that you use. Use a strict form. Basically, you don't want to be swinging all the time. If you are swinging so much, and pay attention, because when you are swinging so much, sometimes you might feel the tendon kind of overheating. control the entire movement. That's what you want to do. If you are doing this exercise, if you are curling, and then you find that you are swinging too much, you cannot control the movement, basically step down in the weight. You are not ready yet. No, bro, you're not ready. You're not ready yet. If you are swinging too much, you're not ready. So avoid excessive swinging. That's the point. Choose weight. Basically, I already said it. Choose the weights that are actually gonna help you to not be swinging your body too much, because that's not necessary. Because if you are swinging your body so much while doing bicep curls, and especially with the barbell, and which can highly likely snap your bicep, you don't want to do that. Do it smarter. Use your weight that you are capable of doing. And now moving on to the second high risk bicep exercise, which is, here we go, heavy chin ups or pull ups, especially with added weights or keeping or pull form. Okay, now as you can see, both of these people here, I would say John, no, I have to give them a Dutch name. Joep and yeah, what's a Dutch name? Ish, I need to find another Dutch name for her. There are so much, like sometime when you got so much, but they are Ninka. Okay, this is Ninka, and this is yeah, what did I say? Well, I'll call him Niels now. Okay, Ninka and Niels, both of them are doing basically heavy chin-ups. Because I say heavy because, as you can see, they are both having some extra weight, not just only their body weights attached to their hip area. And as you look, you can see both of their biceps are engaged, not only their forearms, but as well as their biceps. And this exercise, where can you actually tear your bicep? Basically, at the bottom, the dead hang. Basically, when they fully go down, the bicep tendon is stretched and under load. Because not only that, they're going to have the load of their bodies, but they're going to also have the load of the extra load that they are carrying or tied to their hip. So, I said keeping or explosive pull-ups as momentum stress. Because if you're doing keeping, so basically it's like, yeah, let me see. It's basically when you're doing, you're doing the pull-ups, but basically you try to get your arms as far as away from the machine itself. So overloading with heavy weight increases your risk, because again, the higher they go with the extra weight that is tied between their hip, the more likely they're gonna stretch, and the lower part, when they go down, the more likely their arms are gonna be fully stretched out, and the more likely their biceps are gonna be, as you can imagine. Let me see if I can show you a proper way. When you stretch and your bicep is basically stretching back, and imagine this, your bicep is stretching back, and there's also, it's basically two forces going opposite direction. Your bicep stretching, and at the same time you're pulling it, because it's a pull-up. You're pulling it so you don't go too low, and you also, at the same time you're doing the pull-ups, but also when you go down, the weight is, two opposite force. That's why it's snap. Okay, so now let's look at the safer approach. Focus on controlled reps from a dead hang only if comfortable. So you have to focus on controllable reps. If you are finding yourself not able to do it comfortably, basically bring the weights down, bro. Bring the weights down. Stay safe. Focus. Like really, this is the key. And avoid keeping. Keeping, again, we don't want to do that. because build strength gradually before adding significant weight. Engage your lats, because you want to have your lats and your shoulders also doing the type of work, because you don't want to put all the pressure of your, or all the, all the pressure of your body weight only on your bicep. Yeah, and especially when you're doing the reps, especially when you have extra weight like them, if it's your own body weight, that could mean, yeah, less. But again, if you are overworking them, overworking your biceps, then you are putting yourself at a disadvantage. And now moving forward is the third exercise that is high risk for bicep tear is, number 13, preacher curls. Preacher curls. Again, why? Why? I'm glad you asked. The reason why is because the arm is locked in position and preventing shoulder relief. As you can imagine, I think I have one exercise with this, or at the bottom, arms extended. The bicep tendon is maximally stretched under load. Overstretching with heavy weight here is dangerous. Let me show you guys how that looks like. So moving on, and come on.
Can we skip?
All right. So here we are. Preacher curls. If you have a weak stomach, don't watch
To
this.
the good part.
Both at the same time. My boy, he's really unlucky because I feel it.
One way.
Wow. I really feel it.
Can we?
Like, again, this is the reason why. Preacher curl, number 13, you don't want to do that as much as you don't want to do this exercise before knowing this.
Skip to the good
Okay.
part.
See how this bicep just tear? It's just basically tear. We're gonna take a look later down how that looks like visually, but
one way to minimize the risk of a biceps tendon tear when
as you can see,
using excessively heavy weights on the preacher curl is to simply lift your upper arm off the pad so that your upper arm is in a more vertical position. Doing this will decrease the chance of overextending your arms. Then as you get stronger over time, gradually reduce the space between your upper arm and the pad.
The fact of the matter is, thank you, bro. Appreciate you. But the fact of the matter is that still, preacher curl, a lot of the time, you're not going to be so mindful in it. But again, what is the safer approach? This is the question here. What is the safer approach to doing preacher curls in order to not tear your biceps? The safer approach is to never lower the weight so far that you feel a deep stretch in your tendon, because you can lower it so far that you feel a deep stretch in this area, and this area, or even in your shoulder area. Stop just short to full extent, because again, you don't want to fully extend it. You want to stop like at this, just as not fully, and use moderate weights with strict form. Again, a lot of the time, all right, a lot of the time, the thing is, it's the form. It's the form that actually messes us up, because as we look at him, and also basically going too far. Let's look at this again.
Can we skip?
Like, his form is proper, is no biggie. But one thing I like to do when I'm doing this exercise, preacher curl, excuse me, is to also have my legs to give me some stability. I'll have my legs, let's say, in some places, I think like the 2 bars that are in front of him, I don't know, he could have maybe get the 2 bars here and put his legs basically to help him to have some pushback power, to not put all the stress on his bicep. This is the problem, because he put all the stress on his bicep trying to isolate the bicep. But this exercise is, very much a bicep killer.
To the good part.
at the left, you can see, look at his left hand. Even before it happens, it was full. Oh, what just happened? All right. Okay, I think I pressed the wrong thing. Anyway, yeah, his bicep. I was trying to basically go back.
Can we skip to
Look, okay.
the good
He should stop right there and go back up.
part?
But no, my boy had to go lower. Look at his face, bro. I know, man, that hurts, bro. Like seriously, that hurts, man. And really hurt. Painful like AF, seriously. And not only one arm, but both arms at the same time. I mean, at least he can recover both arms at the same time. And yeah, I mean, he can start working on them again at the same time. Strengthen them. Sheesh. Sheesh, that's painful. So we already covered the safer things that you could use, or the safest way to actually train your bicep when you're using the preacher curl is, like, again, never lower the weight so far that you feel the deep stretch in the tendon area. So this area by your shoulders, or by your, not by your shoulders, or by your elbow area, but mostly by your elbow area you want to focus on. Stop just short to a full extension. Don't go over, don't overdo it and try to get your arm fully like that, because that part, when you go fully extend your arms like this, there's a small amount of rest in your arms, and this is when, you know, the different forces that are just basically acting like this can basically, you know, snap your bicep. Okay, now moving on to the fourth exercise which can cause bicep tear. And let's see, my boy is smiling hard. All right, this is heavy row, either with barbell, dumbbell, T-bar, especially with elbow flare or jerking. Yeah, okay. All right, big. I mean, seriously, that's a lot of work right there. All right, so one thing is for sure is that this guy is a professional lifter. So he can lift heavy because they focus every day that they are lifting on proper form. And as you can see, a lot of the time, you know, it can be, again, he can suffer with wear and tear or overuse of the muscle. But again, if they are focusing on proper form, then you don't have nothing to, shouldn't be worrying about it as much. Why does this happen? Why does this exercise, which is heavy rows, basically can cause your bicep to snap? Because bicep are major elbow flexors during rows. If you ever doing rows, you can feel in this area, the tendon, you can feel it kind of activated, especially when you go in heavy. Even when you go backwards, you can feel it actually being used. And while this is an exercise, ideally for lats. This exercise ideally for back, right? So, yeah, right. Using excessive weight often leads to jerking. Yeah, again, that is gonna mess up your form. Torso swing and compromise form. Flaring elbows excessively increase stress, because as you can imagine, when your elbows get flared and overused, then your body automatically try to overcompensate. No, basically try to push the weight or the work somewhere else. And that happens to be your biceps. So now the question is, what is the safer approach? The safest approach. Prioritize strict form over weight. First thing first, keep elbows close to the body, around 45 degrees when you're doing this exercise. Yeah. All right. So brace core, avoid excessive momentum, focus on your back muscle, because again, it's not about just lifting the weight. It's not about making the movement. It's about your mind being focused on the exercise, or no, your mind being focused on where you are target it. Because a lot of the time, some people just doing the movement, they are so distracted and they're not really paying attention to what body part or muscle group they are working out. You don't want to be that person. You want to always be focusing on the exercise that you are doing. So now moving on is the fifth exercise. We are almost there. We have 7 of them for the sake of time. Okay, the fifth exercise, let's see, is cable curl with straight bar. This is what my boy is doing right now. Cable curls with straight bar and right grip, especially behind the back. I didn't put the one behind the back, but I find this one, as you can imagine, look at it quickly. See, his elbow area is kind of, you can see it flaring. You can see it kind of reddish in comparison to to his full arm. Because again, when you're doing this exercise, it's gonna basically demand your body or your elbows to be actually activated as well. And the tendon and below his bicep is also more engaged. Why? Why is that? Why this can cause you to have injuries? The straight bar forces the wrist forward into internal rotation, placing awkward rotational stress on the bicep tendon. If you look closely at his left arm, look above, just between the area between his bicep and his forearm. If you really look closely, you would see, oh, I forget I have a pointer, this area. If you focus really closely, you'll notice that this area is slightly, it is working. And in some cases, it can overwork. But especially behind the neck version, because a lot of the time some people try to do cable curls with straight bar, right grip, especially when they doing it behind the back. I said neck, but behind their backs. Definitely you don't want to do that because it is an unnatural stretch. I don't know why people do this, but for some reason they probably heard it somewhere. They probably see someone doing a bicep, a cable biceps curl with the long bar, and they try to do it at the back. I mean, like, seriously? I mean, anyway. But now the question is, what is the safest approach? The safest approach is to use the easy curl bar or rope attachments to allow a more neutral wrist forearm position. Avoid behind the back stretch under load. You don't want to do that because you put yourself in a vulnerable position. Because although you might think that you're targeting the biceps solely, but again, it's not a natural movement. It's not a natural way. Normally, you wouldn't be lifting weights like with your, how you call it? You wouldn't be doing bicep curl with your arms behind your back. Hardly that you'll be lifting a weight behind your back. Hardly. Majority of the time, if you're gonna lift any weights like in normal life, the weight will be in front of you. I'm talking about anything. It can be like house stuff, work stuff, whatever that may be. It's gonna be behind you, in front of you, not behind you. So using an easy bar or rope, better yet, can help you also to make your training basically using a safer approach while doing this exercise right here, which is the cable curl with straight bar on right grip. So this is what he's doing. Probably the bar is slightly curved. Is probably, from the look of it, maybe the easy bar that he's using right now, but it's hard for me to see it. But again, you want to do this smart. So we are almost there. I think we have 2 more. All right. And now this is the 6th exercise that is very much highly likely to cause people to basically have bicep tear, which is heavy lat pull down behind the neck. I mean, Iris, this is Iris right there. Iris, Dutch name. She's basically lifting 1, 2, 3, 4 plates again. And I don't know if you ever done this exercise, basically heavy lats or just lat pull down behind the neck. As you can imagine, when you're doing the lats pull down, you would feel that in that area is actually working also. It's gonna also be engaged. Oh, I forget, sub up and like. So when that is engaged, that's gonna put too much pressure on your tendons. Because why? Because it requires extreme shoulder external rotation and abduction, compressing structures and the shoulders. I hardly do this exercise. Sometimes I try to do it, but I prefer to do others. And excuse me, if I do heavy lats pull down, I wouldn't try to do it heavy because I want to do it right. While primarily a shoulder risk, because again, that's the reason why I don't do it, because it's gonna highly likely could hurt my shoulders. But the compound position can indirectly stress the bicep tendon originally during the pull. So again, you don't want to be stressing your biceps tendon, because again, when you go to the gym, or you're training, or you doing sports, for example, I understand when you're doing sport, if you're a professional athlete, or if you doing sport or weekly, you have a routine. But the fact of the matter is, we're gonna talk about the things that you could do as well to, if you have a busy sport life, what the things that you could do to actually strengthen your tendons and prevent yourself from getting this injury. So now back on to heavy lat pull down behind the neck. What you want to do, the safest way to actually do this, is to avoid behind the neck pull down altogether. Just cut it behind the neck, pull down, cut it out, and perform pull down in front of the chest with control form. Just do it normal, boys and girls, and do it normal, eaters. Just perform just that normal one, because you don't need to be that extra. All right, let me be the extra one. So you just do, just do the things that is gonna help you to stay fit, but not only fit, but at the same time injury free. I think that's more important. So I think we are almost there. Okay, let's move on. The last one, well, it's a variation, it's a combination of different exercises, mostly the Olympic lifts. I'm not really a big fan of them. Probably you are. I'm not saying you should. Let me take a sip. Okay, I'm not saying that for me, I'm not a big fan of Olympic lifts, which are such as this right here is the, how you call it? Is the power clean. The power clean. And then we also, again, like I said, there's other one. There's the clean and jerk. I don't like that at all. And I believe that was the last last exercise. Both of them are the Olympic lifts. Without the reason why you don't want to do them, you want to stay away from them, especially if you don't have proper technique. Because I'm not saying people shouldn't stay away from them altogether, but if you don't have proper technique, don't do it. Because again, not only that, you can hurt your knees. So many joints in your body, so many areas, so many things can go wrong. From the very first one, as we can, let me just make it a bit bigger. All right, there we go. It's better. All right, let me move myself out of the way. I'm gonna put myself, block his face right here. I don't think his face is gonna be injured, but anyway, from here, if you don't lift properly, this is like it is a deadlift, by the way. If you don't deadlift this weight properly, you can hurt your shoulders. But keep in mind, when you're doing this exercise, when you're doing the Olympic, the power lift, you also have to think that just the deadlift is maybe the first step. Let me see it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say if this is where he stops. This is the first step of 5. Yeah. All right. Hold up. First step of 5. So if you start, wait, let me put my cursor here. If you start here, let's say for example, in this area, this is when, I mean, from here, your bicep is, as you can imagine, I mean, as you can see, that his bicep is gonna be also activated because his bicep, his arm is fully extended straight. So his bicep is gonna be activated. And at the same time, the second step here, his bicep is fully activated or fully engaged. And here as well, because not only that he has to use his back, his tricep, and his forearm, but his bicep here is fully engaged. Here, not so much, or not at all, basically, but here, not at all, also. So, but now, when it comes to the clean jerk, right here, let me make this a bit bigger also. All right, the clean jerk, again, use, if you don't have proper technique, learn from someone who's been doing these exercises properly. But again, this is the very beginning of it. From here to there, to here. But this is back, but your bicep is gonna be also engaged because you're gonna have to use your full arm power to get it from here to there. And now, full snap. You gotta snap it up. For me, this is the part that I don't really like about this exercise, and which is this very last part. I mean, this from this area. This area is not my favorite part from this, you know, the power, clean and jerk, basically Olympic lifts. I already said why, did I? Oh, why? Okay. Why is it that Olympic lifts like power clean, clean and jerk without proper technique can hurt you? Why is that? Because the explosive push, the explosive push phase generates passive force through the bicep to rack the bar. Poor timing or technique, because the Olympic lifts are all about timing and technique. And which is, for example, arming the weight and instead of using legs and hip. Yeah, you want to use your legs and hip rather than your arms. Approach overload the bicep. Let me go over that again. Arming the weights instead of using legs and hip, overload the biceps. Yeah, so you basically want to use your legs more, your legs and hip more, which is the pull, the explosive pull. This is very much at the very beginning here. The explosive pull phase generates massive force through the bicep to rack the bar. All these areas. Let me move myself out of the way real quick. All these areas, you're gonna use a lot of. You could use a lot of biceps if you're not performing the actual workout properly. So now is safer approach. What is a safer approach of actually doing this exercise? As you can imagine so far, the safer approach is to learn proper technique first before going, hard, and make sure you learn the proper technique from somebody who is an Olympian or somebody who have been doing this exercise for at least some time, who has a track record of doing this exercise, because a safer approach is essentially learn perfect technique excellent technique from a qualified coach. Okay, never sacrifice form for weight. Never sacrifice form for weight. Build foundational strength first. Yes, nice. Okay. Now, I think I had some other things I wanted to show you guys here.
A distal biceps rupture.
Okay, so I was talking about earlier how that looks like, how the rupture looks like, because that was it already. I finished all my 7 points of basically the excuse me, basically the gym exercises that increase the risk of bicep tear and safer approaches to use. So now moving on, since I've done with this, is how a visual representative of how the bicep rupture or tear actually happened.
Occurs when the tendon attaching the biceps muscle to the elbow is torn from the bone. This injury most commonly occurs in middle-aged men during heavyweight work or lifting with the elbow in a bent position. To surgically repair the tear, doctors locate the end of the bicep.
Again, he said, I don't know if it's a he, but he or she, it sounds like a man to me. He, because it could have been an AI. I mean, it's an AI. It's basically not neither he or she. But he said, why did I say he again? Anyway, he said that middle-aged men, so 40 and above, but again, it's not only middle-aged men, because again, that happens to a lot of younger guys. Again, I already gave the example of Larry Wheels. He's in his mid-20s and he actually got it, you know. And even if, you know, if you think that might, because he said this, it's not gonna affect you, but regardless, aren't you gonna benefit? Basically, you're gonna benefit from actually performing these type of changes that I've actually present to you today, because you're not gonna be wearing and tearing your elbow, your tendons, because over time, if you're not doing the exercises, then you're gonna set yourself up for, you could set yourself up for bicep tear in the near future. But again, it's best to start performing the proper form right now, so you know you can basically work yourself through it. So you know, throughout your training movements that you basically have proper form, then you can always keep building. Doing things right at the very beginning is better than, you know, have to
distal bicep
make adjustment, you know, later down. So it's best to, you know, to use this right now.
biceps rupture occurs when the tendon attaching the biceps muscle to the elbow is torn from the bone. This injury most commonly occurs in middle-aged men during heavyweight work or lifting with the elbow in a bent position. To surgically repair the tear, doctors locate the end of the biceps tendon and remove any damaged tissue. They then drill a small hole through the top of the radius and size the end of the tendon to fit the width of this hole. Surgeons suture the tendon to a small, oblong, surgical button that they pass through the hole. The button sits on the opposite side of the radius, anchoring the tendon. The procedure should be performed as soon as possible after injury. Surgeons suture the tendon to a small, oblong, surgical button that they pass through the hole.
Okay. Okay. So basically, they reattach
The procedure should be performed as soon as.
Chill, bro. So basically, they reattach the tendon to the bone artificially, and again, probably don't want that, guys. So now, key risk factors more important than just the exercise. Let's see some key risk factors more important than just exercises that can actually prevent you from actually getting your bicep tear. One thing first. The first thing is excessive ego lifting, using weight you cannot control strictly. Ego lifting, it's gonna definitely, it put you over 50% of the time you're gonna get an injury, because it could mean that, you know, you see a nice girl at the gym, your gym crush just stepped in at the gym, and then you like feel that extra motivation, and then you're like, you know, you feel like you wanna hit your race with lifting more. Maybe she'll pay attention. Or it could be on the other side. I think ladies, those ladies have ego lifting too, excessive ego lifting. I think the lady's ego doesn't work, and maybe not in that setting. But yeah, you're a guy, you know, you lifting, your gym crush, you know, a hot chick just, you know, beside you. You want to show off that, you know, that you can lift heavy. that you know you can play yourself, or your boys can be like, oh, go 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 go, keep going. And we're gonna look at this again. You know, I think I have a video that shows demonstrate ego lifting. Let me see. Let's get to it right here. Okay, this is an example of ego lifting. Yeah, because I mean, when you look at this, it seems like, okay, he's trying to perform in front of everybody. But at the end of the day, his ego is kind of tied to this because everybody is hoping, excuse me, everybody is not just hoping, but counted on him to push himself to the max. Yeah? And let's... But the fact of the matter is, it's not 100% ego tripping. And look at his left arm.
No lift. You didn't finish the lift. It's 41.
Ah. It's painful. Ego lifting. Because, I mean, I said it wasn't fully, but it is actually somewhat ego lifting. I'm not sure if my boy here, I'm not sure if it's, anyway. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's a professional power lifter or whatever, if he competes. But one thing is for sure, in this scenario, he's trying to, his ego is at play. That's one thing for sure. His ego is at play. Wait, you should go off. You should go off and you should come on. Wow, you embarrassed me live. Okay, so yeah, with him now, he basically is sort of like an ego tripping to get, or ego lifting, because to get the bragging rights that he lifts that amount of weights. But again, gotta know your limit. Oh, I didn't see it at first.
Distal bicep.
Oh dang! Oh shoot! I didn't see it at first. It's in the very beginning actually that he tear his bicep. The very beginning when he lifted. Look at his left arm. Look closely. 1, 2, 3. Look now. Oh! And he's noticed and he looked to the right. I mean left. Look at his arm now. Man, I didn't really notice that. At first, I wasn't really analyzing the video. And he still haven't noticed because he got adrenaline, his blood is hot, pumping and all of that.
No lift. You didn't finish the lift.
My boy, they are definitely British. They saw him snap his bicep. They're like, oh, you didn't finish the lift. I mean, they're like, I don't care, like, you know, what you got going on, bicep tear. You didn't finish the lift, bro. I mean, really, gotta finish your lift. But that's painful to watch. Really painful to watch. Let's see it again. More painful to actually experience. Look. And now. You could slightly hear like a pop. Like if you listen closely, let's see. You heard that? You heard that little pop? Listen closely again. Yes, I know you heard it, but I cannot watch it anymore. Ish. I mean, cannot watch it anymore. Like that's it for me. Okay, I already talked about the ego lifting. If you're feeling, you know, you have to present I mean, you have to show off and all of that. So if you haven't done it, and if you haven't done that weight when nobody is looking, don't embarrass yourself when everybody is looking. Because again, the ego lifting can put you in a position, an euphoric position that you feel that you can do anything, that you can lift the type of weight that you don't normally do. And I understand, sometimes you have to push yourself, but again, you have to know, okay, what are the risks involved, and you have to prepare yourself, because a lot of the time if you can perform, you know, the proper movement with the proper form, then that's good. and in his issue, I mean, his case wasn't, you know, maybe due to his age probably, but again, we can also uncover some other things or other reason why it could cause, you know, this problem, by the way, which is we already mentioned poor form, which is swinging, jerking, flaring elbows, compromising shoulders, scapular position, all of these things. The second thing that basically you wanna stay away from. You don't wanna be swinging. You don't wanna be jerking it. You know, you don't wanna be flaring your elbows. You don't wanna compromise shoulders and scapular positioning. And also you wanna uncontrolled eccentric, which is the negative. Eccentric, if you're not controlling it, a lot of the time, again, your bicep can go so far it just snap. Lowering the waist too far or fighting excessively heavy negatives. If you are lifting and you find yourself that you have to fight, basically, I do understand when it comes to weightlifting, there has to be a form of strain or stress there, but you have to know your limit. It's something that you have to build gradually. It's not something that you automatically decide, okay, I'm gonna lift this amount. I've never lifted it before. I know I cannot do. I've never done it before, but let's find out. But it's an exaggeration weight. You don't want to do that. Another thing again is overstretching under load, because it's almost the same as if you're not controlling the eccentric, basically the negatives. This is positive and negative, because going into extreme range of motion, especially elbow extension with heavy resistance, can cause your bicep to pop. We don't want that. And lack of warm-up, because again, over time, cold tendons are more prone to injuries. Again, a lot of the time, again, I've seen this. Some people say, oh, well, when you warm up, or, a lot of the time, your body, basically, your muscle become too flexible and blah, blah. You want your muscle to be somewhat flexible in order to actually perform the workout, because cold tendons are more prone to injuries. And another thing is, I remember I was in a stream. This dude was asking me, or he was telling me his workout regime, and he told me that he goes to the gym 6 days a week. I'm like, bro, I understand. Yeah, okay. I was like, okay, you can do it, because he's young. I believe he was about 20 years old. But I'm like, bro, you can do it, but also you don't want to overtrain. And because when you overtrain, that's gonna mean that you're gonna under recover, because chronic fatigue weakens the tendons. Again, the tendons that we're talking about, the one here, the tendons again doesn't grow at the same rate as the muscle. The tendons are slower in their growth, or they're basically their level of the stress level is not the same. It's lower than the stress level that your muscle can handle. So this is the reason why it can snap from the lower part. But basically, if you have any pre-existing tendon issues and you are ignoring warning signs like persistent elbow or shoulder pain, you're putting yourself at a deficit. Wrong. Don't do it. Make sure you are at least 90%, or know yourself, basically. Know yourself before you actually, basically mess yourself up. Crucial prevention strategies. I think we can take a look at that later on, because there was another video I wanted to watch here. Again, this is also what I can call ego lifting, but it is still what professionals do. And for me, I wouldn't do it, because a lot of the time, the reason why, you're going to see what I'm talking about, because a lot of the time, he's going to use some smelling salt. A lot of the time, when we are using some enhancement, it strips us away from our consciousness, basically the connection between we have mind and body. So if something is wrong, if we had an injury or we have a flare or we have a overused body part or overused muscle or overused tendon, or you have whichever stress or inflammation that you have at a certain body part, this enhancement can cause you to basically not feel them, and basically lose your connection to your awareness basically of your movements or your muscle. So basically the feedback is basically cut. It's like imagine taking painkillers and going to work out. It's like you can do that, but you can put yourself in a position that if you are overextending or you are overworking a certain body part, it is painful, but due to the fact that you're using painkillers and you don't feel it, but then something happened and you hurt yourself. Smelling salt.
На штанге 370 килограммов. На бомбот приглашается
Huge.
Павел Наконечный. Победитель Украины.
Wow. 370 kilos. Wow. Just lift the thing, man. Doing too much. 1. Yeah. Alright. Shock up. Smelling salt again. Ooh. Ooh. Come on. This is butter. Alright. Everything seems to be fine. I mean, 390 kilos. Yes. Lock in, bro. Lock in. Lock in, bro. Yeah. Come on, some snaps. Smelling salt again, the third time. Smells like piss. Smells like cat piss. I'm crying. It's like crying before. Okay, now, again, I'm not sure if this is the moment that it's gonna happen, but again, now he is so focused. He's in his zone. I mean, it is the right place to be in, but he's gonna lift a type of weight. I'm not sure if you've done it before, but sometimes even if you don't done it before, your body is not like a robot. Even a robot, basically, I would say, a robot, eventually it gets just like your car, just like everything, laptop, screen, whatever, camera, it gets rare and it's not tear, but our body have wear and tear, but it gets overused basically. At a certain time, these technology basically they get overused. Well, the wear and tear, but just basically rare. They're not gonna tear, but sometimes maybe some tearing could happen, maybe of the cable, for example, or snapping the cable, cuts. But now, the only thing that is on his mind is lifting that damn weight. That's the only thing that's in his mind right now. Not really form is something that is almost like second nature. And oh, maybe I can use this one right now. Bro, don't embarrass me live, man. Oh no. Oh yes. All right. Thank God. Thank God. Almost embarrassed me live again. So now in his situation, he's locked in. Like he's gonna do it. Now I think he's gonna go maybe 400 kilos deadlift. Or let's see what's gonna happen. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Assistant. How much is come on, how much? Oh, 410. 410 kilos. But it's always interesting. Like the weights seem kind of small in comparison to him. But again, we are human beings. Let's see. Oh, I know it's gonna happen. Oh, damn. feet.
Давайте поддержим все вместе. Павел Наконечный.
And he's done for the day. And it's done for the weeks. I mean, he almost barely got it, almost barely got it. But again, deadlift, your bicep is heavily engaged or really part of this this movement. Damn. Can't believe it. All of that. Okay, now spray. A bit more, a bit more. Finish the bottle, finish the bottle. Now you gotta put a swing. He's laughing. Anyway, oh, like I stop. This is basically the way you can actually what you could do basically to remedy that injury or to address it basically. Now we're gonna do some crucial prevention strategies again, some but more in depth. Is prioritize form over weight always. Control the eccentric lowering phase. This is the where the most tear happens. As you can see from his form, it was basically the eccentric part. It wasn't the lowering part, but it was the lowering and the lifting was like very close together. So now this is where okay, lowering immediately. Avoid extreme stretch on the heavy load. But this is actually what happened here. He had the extreme stretch. Whoa. As you can imagine. This is gonna be an extreme stretch. Come on, lift it now. Okay, wait. You see, right now, this is an extreme stretch. His bicep is, I mean, as much as you might think that his arm, I mean, his back, lower back is actually the one who's doing the most of the work, but at this very beginning part, his biceps are engaged. So, and it's an extreme weight as well. So yeah, warm up thoroughly. I believe that he warmed up, but yeah, some things can happen, especially if you're gonna be lifting that heavy weight. Include dynamic stretches and light sets of exercises before you start with your workout. And progress weight, basically include the weight or add weights gradually. Don't make huge jumps. Don't start from 10 and go to 20. No, I mean, sorry. Don't start from 5 and go to 20. You know, start from 5 kilos, go to 10 kilos, 15 kilos, and 20 kilos, you know. Give your body time to actually adjust to the new weights. You don't want to be jumping like what type of animal can jump the furthest? Like a cheetah, maybe? Or like these cats, because they can jump really far. I think or jaguar maybe, but these cats, wild cats. Listen to your body. This was the most important thing. Stop immediately at any sharp pain, popping sensation, or unusual strain in the front of the shoulder or elbow. And his situation, given to the fact that he has smelling salt, it's gonna be hard for him to actually pay attention to listen to his body. He could have maybe really have a good I mean, if he's paying attention closely to his body, he could have a moment that he feel that, okay, I know everybody is watching me right now. I know I should be trying to do this. Maybe I can't. Or he could have switched his hands position. Or he could have basically put the right hand is the one that tear. Probably he could have from like this, maybe flip it, basically flip the position of his handle, of his grip, basically. But again, still, I mean, it's easy for me to say. It's easy for me to sit here and say this, but again, probably he didn't feel it, or probably he didn't think that it was gonna happen. Or probably he did feel it, but he didn't really take much or think much of it. So again, if you listen to your body, if you feel basically a sharp pain, popping sensation or unusual strain in the front or shoulder area, or I mean shoulder or elbow area, stop right there. bring the weights down, or basically do a different exercise for a different body part, or simply just call it a day. Say the devil, not today. Like tell the devil, like not me, not today. Don't try me. You know, sometimes you gotta tell the devil to
Shut your bitch ass up.
yeah. So okay, and strengthens support muscle, because again, your shoulders, your rotator cuff, your back and forearm, all of that basically gonna help you when basically you are lifting, not only to put all the strain on your biceps, but you want to be having a full, you know, from your back area to your full arm, maybe not balance. I don't think you can, you know, you can probably work on that. That can be a goal that you're striving for, but again, to make sure all of them, none of them are lacking, all of them are actually getting a workout also. Another thing is address mobility, ensure good shoulder and spine mobility. The last one, allow adequate recovery. Tendons need time to adapt to stress. Again, I've said this multiple times, because tendons and muscles, they don't have, they, as you can hear, there are two different basically body parts, or yeah, let's leave it like that, two different body parts. So they don't function, they might function the same, but they are not the same in characteristics. So meaning that they're gonna have different, somewhat different function and different makeups. So you basically need to give your tendons more time to recover, more time to basically de-stress. So there is a story. My boy here is gonna tell his story of what happened.
I was doing my PR for my deadlift. I had just finished a set at 565. I thought I had it in me to do a bit more. I put on a 5-pound plate on each side, lifted it up beautifully, and on the lockout, I could see in the reflection as I was locking out that my arm just snapped. I could see my bicep just go up into my arm.
Man,
and
that was a complete snap, a full snap. So which means it doesn't have to have the surgery that we showed earlier.
I knew I had messed up. To what extent, I wasn't sure. I lightly put the weight down and just...
Okay, this segment, we're gonna talk about food, supplements, and lifestyle that prevent bicep tearing. So basically the lifestyle patterns that prevent your bicep from tearing, and the food and supplements that you could use to fuel your tendons, your muscle, and also different things, different strategies that are very important to know.
Kind of sat on the floor and whispered to the guy deadlifting beside me to get the front desk. And then the pain started to come in.
Yeah.
I went to the ER straight away.
Yeah.
Was probably out within an hour and had a session booked with the surgeon in a week and a half from then. It actually took about a week for the bruising to show up. I thought it would show up a lot sooner than that.
Dang. All right, so before we go to after surgery, let's say now a holistic approach that strengthens tendons, reduce inflammation, support recovery, and minimize unnecessary stress. This is what we're gonna talk about here. This is what you need to know, because food basically is the building blocks for tendon health, or food that are building blocks for tendon health. High quality protein essential for collagen synthesis and tissue repair. So basically you want to have high quality protein. A lot of the times when people can think protein, they go directly to lean meat like chicken, turkey, lean beef. Then you are in the right, you're thinking right. So again, think about high quality protein that you need to have, because that's gonna definitely help, and tissue repairing, something that we really need. And the other part too is collagen boosters. While the body makes collagen, these foods provide basically a precursor, or basically it helps for the body to help the body to make collagen. And collagen is all over the body. and the tendons need it. Because what are the sources of collagen? And which is bone broth, which is an excellent source of glycine and proline, which are very good for your tendons and your muscle or overall body. And you can get, again, chicken, especially with skin and cartilage. You can always eat that. Fish with skin, citrus fruits with for vitamin C, for basically collagen formation. Vitamin C, you should be drinking some form of vitamin C almost every day or weekly, every day. So berries for antioxidant and vitamin C. Omega-3 fatty acid, because it reduces systemic inflammation. So omega-3 fatty acid for reducing inflammation, because inflammation will cause your body to become weaker and put you in a position to be getting injured. I think, let's say for example, fatty acid, omega-3 fatty acids rather, is you can find them in fatty fish like salmon, flaxseed, chia seed, walnut, argan oil, which is a vegan source, vitamin C, citrus fruits, bell peppers, broccolis, Brussels sprout, kiwi, strawberries. Again, the list can go on. Basically, you just have to, or you get the supplements, make it easy for you. But again, it's always better to get them from food. And at the same time, if you want to use supplements to add, you can do that as well. So let's see. After surgery,
I slept on the floor for about 2 weeks. that was probably the most comfortable position for me. Anything else did not feel comfortable. I don't think I had fully anticipated how small my arm would be when I got the cast off.
Wow.
That cast was only on for 2 weeks. And
2 weeks only, yeah? I mean, you can imagine, because if you're not using it, you use it or lose it.
And my bicep was about as thick as my wrist. So seeing that was a bit of a mental shock. I don't think I was fully prepared for that, and I don't think I had come across anything, even on YouTube, to see what that would initially look like. Seeing that just gave me a lot of motivation to get back in the gym once I could and start working at that arm to build that muscle back. Say one of the earlier setbacks was just having that infection in my arm. This was after I had my stitches taken out. I remember the wound starting to ooze a little bit, and I could see that particularly when I was in the gym. So I knew that wasn't right, so I had to go on antibiotics and get that all cleaned out. And I would say, and another setback, just a minor one, was particularly when I was doing hammer curls, I would get this kind of clicking and locking out in my arm. And I think massage therapy really kind of fleshed that out and made it feel like normal again. And so in terms of the brace, it started out at about 90 degrees, and each couple of weeks we would go 10 degrees further south to the point that my arm was basically extended in 180 degrees.
Sure.
I think towards the end it felt a little uncomfortable because your arm was always extended at 180.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I would say that the bigger issue was just getting that supination back. And that's something that the brace couldn't quite do. Like, it'll help you with the extension, but there was definitely issues where supinating my arm, I could see a huge difference between my arm right and my left. I knew it was going to be a long recovery ahead, but I remember going on YouTube, seeing a lot of people get injured with something similar or something greater. Seeing them rebound kind of gave me the confidence that I can do this too.
Yes.
So going in with that mindset put me a bit more at ease, but it was still intimidating nonetheless.
Facts. Because it's about your mindset. It's about your mindset also, because it's not only that, like all the food I'm gonna tell you guys about, only that you need to use manganese and copper, because these are trace minerals vital for connective tissues, which you will find in nuts, seeds, whole grains, leafy greens, which very much are useful for your body. Manganese and copper. And we're gonna move to zinc. Also support tissue repair and immune function. This is what you need because, again, as you can imagine, at the gym you are breaking the tissues and you are basically making your body do exercise. So you need some things to help. You need the type of proper nutrients to help your body to recover and to regenerate, to heal itself properly. And zinc support tissue repair and immune function, like oysters, red meat, poultry, pumpkin seed, lentils, my favorite. Anyway, hydration. Again, hydration is always important. Like I've been seeing people at the gym or just exercising or just, for example, playing sports, and they don't have a water bottle. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, seriously. Like, I'm entering this situation. I'm like, when I see nobody or these people don't have their water with them, I'm like, like, what are you doing? Like, what's the point? Because the fact of the matter is not only that the body is made of over 70% water, but the tendons are 70% water in themselves, because dehydration reduces elasticity, because again the muscle tendons are elastic, so it will reduce the elasticity, which will cause them to be more stiffer. Drinking water consistently throughout, you need to drink your water consistently throughout the day. I don't get it with these people, because like, I don't know why they choose to do this, but again. So another thing is to basically anti-inflammatory foods that you could eat, like minimize chronic low-grade inflammation, such as colorful fruits, vegetables that you need to eat. You could eat turmeric is basically basically, if you add turmeric and black pepper, they're gonna help to absorb better. Ginger, green tea, extra virgin oils, limit pro-inflammation food. Remove inflammation food like excess sugar, refined carbs, excessive saturated and trans fat, fried food, processed meats, highly processed food, excessive alcohol. I mean, don't do that.
The initial rehab was about 2 sessions a week for 30 minutes. Probably half of that was dedicated to massaging out the scar and the surrounding muscles, and then the other half was dedicated to stretches and exercises that would help further strengthen that arm and the mobility. And a lot of that I could incorporate when I was in the gym outside of physio as well. In the early stages, we used the blood flow restrictor cuffs to help reduce the muscle loss and kind of give you that sort of pump feeling when you were, like you would be when you were in the gym. Like, it still felt like you're doing like a full workout, even though you're using like a 2-pound weight, but it felt like your arm was more together. So it was interesting having that on my arm, because it's like, oh, my arm almost feels like...
You can see the difference between his right arm and his left. Right arm, bro. The right arm. Bruh. It's lacking, bro.
Normal again, right? Well, I couldn't lift
Dang, that sucks.
anything up to like 5 pounds with that arm for probably almost a month, it felt like. And I'm just being very careful to not overload that arm, and there wasn't too much I could do with that arm. We did quite a few mobility.
Bro, you can't even beat your meat with that arm anymore, bro. So
exercises in physio.
Oh, this happened during the how you call it, during COVID, during lockdown. Because I mean, they still with their mask on. Okay. And let's say another thing, supplements. Let's say supplementation to consider as support, not replacement for food, because supplementation is supposed to be taken with the food, not a replacement. You're taking only supplements and you're not eating the food. It doesn't work like that. That's why it's supplement, meaning that you know, in a way that you add what you're missing, or get the ideal consistency of, or maybe basically, let's just leave it like this, to add what you are missing, or to add extra what your body maybe need. Collagen peptide. which is some basically some that you could use. I'm gonna hydrolyzed collagen. Provide amino acid, glycine, proline, hydroproline directly used in tendon ligament structures. So which is basically the exact thing that the tendons use. You take it as supplements and it's gonna basically help out. Evidence for tendon health is promising, but not it's not a definite basically a definite dose. I was gonna say the dose. I think it's best that you just focus on what the dosage is saying on the collagen peptide that you actually bought or are using. I already said vitamin C because it's always necessary for vitamins to have vitamin C in your body, not for only your immune system, but for blood flow, for different variation of different things. I think the omega-3 I already mentioned it. Cucumber I already mentioned it. Turmeric extract, okay, because potent for is a potent anti-inflammatory tool that you can use, or supplement that you could use. And you try to mix it with black pepper is a good way to bond them together properly. Vitamin D or vitamin D3 is something that you definitely need because crucial for muscular basically crucial for your muscle health and immune function, and may influence tendons healing. Basically, you always need to get it. And magnesium definitely involved in 100 of enzymatic reaction, including protein synthesis and muscle relaxation, can aid with sleep and recovery. It's really always very much something that you need. If you are experiencing any form of cramps, let's say for the ladies when they have their period, or during or before they have their period, they're hemorrhaging, then magnesium should be something that you use. And if you are an athlete, then sometime you maybe it's a hard day, or you tend to have cramps. Magnesium, take it, it's gonna help out. Basically, it's gonna be helpful for your muscle because it helps to synthesize, it helps to bond with the protein. What is hyaluronic acid? Some words they are so wordy. A compound for connective tissues, glucosamine and quadrotin. Basically is if you want to know these things specifically, just let it be known in the comment section, and I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna see how you write it down, or you can basically listen closely. Primarily for cartilage, but may have some connectivity tissue support. And one thing I want to mention here is that it is important to consult with your doctor first before buying any of the supplements that are presented here. This is not advice, it's simply a tip that I'm actually saying, and you can do with it what you will. Again, speak to your consultant, consult your doctor first before taking any of the supplements. Especially if you have medical conditions, you don't want to really hurt yourself, or you don't want to, if you're taking medication, you don't want to be, some medication doesn't go well with other things, other supplements, either supplements or other medication or foods. So it's always best to do your own due diligence as an adult first. Don't blame it on somebody else. Again, don't blame it on somebody else if you didn't do your own due diligence, or if you didn't consult your own doctor.
Where you'd use like a hammer and turn the hammer from left to right to try and get that feeling back and just that stretch. One of the first initial milestones was just being able to bicep curl with that arm. Even though it was just 2 or 5 pounds, I was happy to get that arm up and going and feel like, okay, this is what it's going to be like going forward. From there, I'd say like another milestone was just being able to bench press again. I remember there was a point where I couldn't even do the bar. Squatting again, being able to slowly branch off and being able to do all those things in the gym that I was doing prior that may not have been, you know, explicitly bicep related, but was still impacted by losing that ability to use that arm. So there were several along the way, for sure.
Yeah.
The initial injury was on Friday the 13th in May.
Oh, bro. Bruh. No way. Friday the 13th. What a coincidence.
So I won't forget that date. So it's been about...
Hey, to be honest, like, that should always be the case, man. Having a lovely lady to help you get back, you know, build your body again. I mean, with the therapy, it's like, for sure, he's gonna recover successfully, without a doubt. And because, you know, ladies are nurturing, and all their special, unique, supernatural skills to heal. This is like the best, because for me, I don't want to, if that would happen to me, or if any injuries were to happen to me, I would prefer to have a lady to help me to get back the recovery process. Glad for this, bro. Like
8-9 months since then, and I'm pretty comfortable doing everything in the gym.
Damn, that must have been definitely difficult for him, because this was the exercise, deadlift. This was the exercise that actually, you know, initially and the very beginning that actually, why am I keep repeating this? So this was the exercise that got him injured in the first place. I can imagine he has PTSD, deadlift, but again, you gotta go get over your fear.
That I was before. So
kilos.
I'd like to say I'm back where I was and stronger than before. There's definitely always that fear of re-injuring that arm.
Yeah.
Particularly on doing a bicep curl or deadlifting again. I think that fear is always going to be a little bit there, lurking in the background, but just focusing on paying attention to how fatigued that arm is, making sure that I'm doing everything safely and within good form. I don't foresee myself making that error again. Your mobility is going to be a little limited in the beginning, but as soon as you get that back, even if it's not your arm, you know, get back in the gym. There's certain things that you will be able to work out. You'll still be able to work out your left arm. There's still going to be a few leg exercises that you can do. Take advantage of that while you can. Don't wait. You know, go on YouTube, see some other people with the same injury or even greater ones, right? That'll give you the motivation and realization that you can bounce back from this and you're going to be okay.
Facts. You can bounce back from this. You can be okay. But the first thing, the best remedy is prevention. The best way to basically secure yourself is to not go through it in the first place. I'm almost gonna finish with the stream. I'm gonna speed through the final things that we could do to actually prevent yourself from this, because I want to get to the 2-hour mark. I want to leave the stream below 2 hours long. So lifestyle, conditional prevention, sleep, quality sleep. I'm gonna go fast. Stress management. All right, you want to find a way to manage your stress, no matter what you do. Now that's up to you to find what you do that can help you to manage your stress. And proper warm up and cool down. Always do your warm up, and most importantly, and the cool down also. And I mean, you can check a lot of different exercises that you could do for cool up. I mean, warm up and cool down, and consistent mobility work, because when you're doing some exercises, you need to mobility in your arms, your shoulders, I mean your elbows, your shoulders, you know, gradual progressive overload. Again, this is the #1 rule. Again, like I said in very big throughout the stream, you don't want to start from 5 and jump to 20 or 30. You know, you want to do it progressively. And prioritization and deload, because also what you could do is schedule a moment that it's not always about going hard. It's not always about going heavy. It's not always about overloading. Sometimes you could, you know, do the work, basically use weights that are, you know, less heavy, that you can basically just enjoy the process or just get the full movement in your routine. Listen to your body religiously. One thing that he was saying here, which is listen to his body. I think that was one of the last thing that he said. Listen to your body. You gotta, because if you're not listening to your body, you can hurt yourself because you wasn't checking yourself. Never push through. Never push through, because again, especially for you men, for us dudes, never push through if you're feeling a sharp elbow pain or shoulder pain or popping sensation or sudden weakness. If you're feeling these things, again, like I said, that's when you gotta be like, yeah, just see it as the devil. See it as the devil and tell the devil like,
Shut your bitch ass up.
yeah, and then either do a different exercise or just go home, call it a day. Because sometimes we try to push through the pain, and this is reason. I mean, you might think, okay, it's gonna make you a better man, a stronger man, or whatever allocation word that you want to use to basically to make you feel better and to get over the fact that that you're feeling this sensation that is not, you don't feel normally. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, because just like he had to go through, he had to stop, and so many things in his life was affected. This is the thing. I mean, he cannot tell you the full story of everything that was affected in his life, but the fact of the matter is, you can imagine where we've seen that he had to go to physical therapy, and that takes time, and he had to spend money to actually get himself better. Focus on form always. Always do your proper form. Just like when you're walking, you're walking normal, right? You're not walking just, I mean, unless you're drunk or intoxicated in something that is basically disturbing your normal balance. When you're doing any movement, you always gotta use proper form. If your form is being compromised, then drop the weight. You're not ready for it yet, bro. You're not ready. So take your time. Balance training. Very important to balance your training so that your full body is definitely balanced. You don't want to be big in the top, lower, or not so strong in the bottom, or you don't want to have big biceps, small triceps. Nah, that's gonna put you in a position where imbalance, where you can get injured. Avoid overtraining. Very important. So you don't want to be going to the gym every day. You don't want to be training every day. I mean, your body needs recover, because your body needs active recovery. This is something that you gotta prioritize. Just like you'll prioritize your gains, you gotta also prioritize your recovery. They go hand in hand. No one is more important than the next. It's like the same, just like two hands. I mean, you can say the right hand, the one that you use, is more important, but if again, the left hand have some things that it does that the right hand, it's better. So managing training volume, again, you basically, again, the reason managing volume, training volume, I already shown you guys the type of workout that are most likely to cause bicep tear. So these exercises, you want to focus on managing them properly. I mean, when you're doing them, you want to focus and you want to basically not hurt yourself. If you are experiencing sharp pain, significant weakness, bruising, or a pop, yeah, stop training. Consult your doctor and physicist, or basically to get to know what's really going on. Yeah, train smart, focus on control, and respect your tendons. And treatment option, again, if you have a bicep tear, again, we can see rest, ice pack, physical therapy, and maybe surgery in his case, because it was snapped completely. It was like a rubber band that completely snapped. Sometimes it can tear. If a rubber band tear is not as strong as it used to be, but it can still do some work, right? The big picture is preventing bicep tear isn't about one magic food or pill. It's about consistent, intelligent training with excellent form, patient progression, excellent recovery, sleep, nutrition, stress management, and listening to your body's signals. This is one of the most important things. It's not listening to your body. It's not a feminine thing, dudes. It's not like some guys might say, oh, that's like that's wrong. nah, but it isn't. You have your body too. You gotta listen to it. Building resilient tendons takes months and years for consistent smart effort. Because remember, again, the tendons in your muscle are not as strong. They're not equal. So the tendon is lacking or takes more time to actually be built. Prioritize long-term health over short-term gain. If you have any history of tendon issues or feel resistant pain, consult your sport medical doctor or physical therapist. So, and
what? Toodaloo, motherfucker. Wait,
oh yeah. Like, subscribe, and like I always say at this time, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.